This is our Forex blog for September 25th, 2012. And like we do most days, we start with looking at our currency meter to find the strongest versus the weakest pairs. Let me, since I've left this running for 2 days, let me bring them all over to the right-hand side. The easiest way to find the strongest currencies to buy versus the weak is use our sortable currency meter. Sort it from strongest to weakest, and you can see the New Zealand, Euro, Swiss, and dollar are the strongest. The weakest is the Australian, second one is the yen, and then the pound. The real-time trend is shown in histogram form on the top. Anything at and above this 80 level is considered strong if green and weak if red. Underneath that we have the 15-minute trend, hourly trend, daily, weekly, monthly. Obviously the more time frame trends that line up, the better you are, but you can pretty much trade off with the real-time, 15, and hourly. If the real-time trend's going up, 15-minute trend showing most New Zealand peers are going up and doing so with intensity, and hourly trend, like at 8:30 right here. There was some strength earlier, a little bit of weakness, not extreme weakness, just barely hit the 80 level, and then 8:15 here, there's incredible strength. Because the daily trend's up, the monthly trend's up, the weekly trend's down, unfortunately. Most time frame trends line up. So what is one of the weaker ones at that 8 o'clock, 8:30? Well, the CAD was pretty much weak across the board. The dollar was weak. So since we have the New Zealand dollar as one of the pairs we leave running, we'll take a look at the New Zealand dollar pair. And by looking at this chart, you can see a couple things. One, it's above the hourly moving average, so it's more likely to go up than down. It came off of the lows yesterday, which hit our statistical 3.0 band and reversed. Rallied all the way to the upper band. Had more momentum on the way up than on the way down. And one of the easier ways, once you see a currency move a significant amount, kind of just draw a trend line and wait for it to get broken. You can see it got broken right here at 7:10. If you miss that trade right here, another good trade is this nice little sideways consolidation rectangle. It kind of went sideways for a little over an hour. Those breakouts tend to be profitable trades, and you can see it went up 20 pips, made a higher high, and I found that pretty much anytime a currency makes a higher high, lower low, it's a good trade to buy the pullback. Instead of using a trend line, you can also put a digital signal processing based very fast moving average on the chart. 5-period moving average shifted 2 bars to the right, and then click DSP, which is really, really fast, and you can see it pulled back, closed above here. You've been long somewhere around 60, and it went up to pretty much close to 80. Another 20 pip move while risking 10 pips. Don't worry so much as a new trader about your win percentage or your losing percentage. Try to take trades that are likely to continue trending. They're likely to give you 1.5 to 2 times bigger wins if right than what you'll lose if you're wrong. And if your wins are 1.5 times bigger than your losses, and you're right 40% of the time, you'll break even. So if you're right 50% of the time, you'll make money. Obviously, you'll make more money if you are higher than 50% winning. And if you catch 2 times bigger wins versus just 1.5 times. One of the things that I do each night, and it's one of the things that I'm going to be putting into our automated systems and our signals, is looking at each chart and deciding whether it can be bought, sold, or both, and or only buys over a certain price, only sells under a certain price. There's certain chart patterns that have a high probability of going sideways and chopping around, and pretty much until it gets above a high or below a low, you're going to lose money in it most of the time. So the New Zealand dollar, you can see here, hanging strong, buy above 82.31 and 8,300 likely high. 8,300 is likely high. And then if it breaks below 8,200, look for sells. So 82.31 above that level, that's a level that I considered strong. 82.31 is pretty much right here. And so last night you had a small win here. It goes above it here, you made money. And once it double tops, again, you want to wait for a little bit deeper pullback, a 2-wave pullback, 1 wave, 2 waves, you're long right here. You made money, you made money, you made money. And let's just take a look at some of the other currencies. I showed yesterday how I do this by looking at each currency. Euro dollar likely by 29.43 and over. Possible resistance 29.85 to 3,000. Aggressive buy above that, and then sell breakout of 29.11 to 2900 on the downside. Let's bring that up real quick. So everything's contingent on where the price opens at the day. It opens all the way up here, 29.30. Obviously, looking for breakdowns below 29.11 to 2900. If it comes down to that level and kind of goes sideways and breaks down underneath it, it's a good trade. I wouldn't, after a currency has already fallen from 55 to 29.11, I would not be looking to sell this. But once it rallies up above that area and comes back down, this is a trade here I'd be looking to sell, looking to sell, looking to sell, looking to sell. Small 10-pip wins each time. And once the currency proves to you it's not able to go below a support area like the previous day's low, guess what? It's very likely, to trend up. And one of the good ways, probably the best way to identify a new trend direction is pretty much once you see a low being put in place, just draw your trend line. Try to connect 3 levels. 1 almost touches here, 3, and when it breaks above there, you can see a nice, move to the upside. I also thought it was bullish above 29.43. The trend line breaks, got you in this a little bit early. 29.43 is right here. And you can see incredible strength. 15-minute trend, hourly trend, daily trend for the most part shifted up, monthly trends up. The majority of time frames are up. So, it worked its way up here. You get this little pullback trade right here. It's very close to my breakout level of 43. I'm anticipating it's going to go above that, and then you draw your fibs on here, and guess where it stopped? Right to 1.382. So if you use the trend line, you got into this a little bit early. Otherwise, it came up to my buy area right here, had a pullback, incredible strength. You're buying it right here at 37, a few pips away. I'm hoping it breaks to 43. It does, goes up, hits my target. Nice, beautiful trade right there. Again, everything is contingent on key levels being broken and where the price opens. But this is one of the things I'm going to be doing to increase the winning percentage by using a human, the human eye. Pound dollar strong uptrend, buy above 62.49 to 50. So here's 62.50. This one kind of opens underneath it. I'm anticipating a breakout, and for the most part, all the time frame trends are up. So I'm going to get in. If I was trading this live, get in a little bit early, anticipate the 50 get broke, and it does, and it goes up to the next area here. And you would draw your fibs off the previous wave, and that's going to tell you where to get out with the profit. 61 is your profit target. You're in this a little bit early, and it already went up a considerable distance, pulled back, went up again. I do not like to buy shallow pullbacks like this, especially when it's worked its way up this. But I would have bought this one right here, hoping it breaks out and goes higher. And the fact that it doesn't, I'm going to wait and see how this handles the previous low of the day, which is right here, and then I would draw a trend line if I was trading this live, wait for the trend line to get back into the new trend. Now, this is not a perfect trend line. In fact, you can't really draw a trend line on this one as nicely as the euro dollar. Let's look at the currency meter again and use the notes I took in regard to that. You can see earlier today the yen very strong, the CAD's weak. CAD yen, it would be a sell. Let me bring this up. That's earlier in the day. Here's my notes. I'm not sure if I did the CAD yen last night. I didn't. Weak CAD, strong yen. When it's underneath the hourly, you're looking to sell it. So you have this trade right here. Comes back up and gets slightly above it, breaks down. That's another nice short. And really, when it breaks the trend line, you want to pretty much continue trading with the trend until the trend line gets broken. You have a nice, trend line that gets hit 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Once it breaks above there, the trend's, to the upside. And you want to keep trading it basically until the trend line gets broken or a double top forms. And you can see, that happened here. Once that got broken, it fell 20 pips. And one of the things that we plan on putting into the software, if you right-click on a trend line, you can create an alert and be notified through an audio file plays the sound file. You can have it send a cell phone message, email, and we're going to add a new thing that allows it to send orders to your broker. And initially, I'm going to do the one that I trade with, but after that, we're going to hook it up with MetaTrader so that you can draw trend lines on any time frame chart you want and take trades when they get broken. Now again, you see the yen was very strong. You want to find a weak one to sell against it. Earlier last night, the euro was weak on most time frames, so the euro yen makes sense to sell starting the day. Here's my notes on the euro yen. Stronger downtrend, buy lightly above 101 and sell 101.66. So 101.66, pretty much right here underneath that level. I want to look for sells, and pretty much once it gets above that level, I'm not looking to sell anymore. So starting the day off, you can see it broke down underneath that level. If you had gone short right here, you would have had a small 30 or 40, actually not a small, 10, 20, 30, 40 pip move. That's a decent sized pullback off the low. I would have got short here. Anytime it kind of goes my way, then against me, I'm moving my stop down. I would have, once the weakness fell off and it didn't break those lows, you got to get out. Came back up to the hourly. This is a very decent high probability sell, and this one's not too bad either because you can see the down waves, more than the up moves. Once you see a double top in action, it's usually the end of the move, and the trend line breaks are excellent for. I try to position them kind of off or somewhat in the middle. You're never going to always touch every single swing, but the beginning of it should be pretty much right there, and try to get it as close to as many different swings as possible. This was the beginning of a new uptrend because the trend line finally got broke, and it had a double bottom down. Notice this uptrend also ends when the trend line is broken. So once these trend lines get broken, you tend to get moves in the other direction, in this case a 30 pip move. The pound was pretty strong across most time frames earlier today. One of the weaker ones was the euro. This is not a currency I tend to leave running. But you can see that weak euro, strong pound. You have a nice little sell here. I don't really see any other trades in this because it already made a decent sized move, went sideways. Normally, if it hadn't fallen so far initially, you would sell the low right here. But you can also see that trend lines again identify pretty much when this moves over. Once that trend line gets broken, it's in an uptrend until that next trend line gets broken. In this case, it got broken, kind of went to the next level. Usually whenever a trend line gets broken, it almost always will die out at the next fib target, which it does, and that's where if you had gone short right here, you'd have a small loss. You'd go short again here, and you'd most of the time get your loss back.